So I have a sensitive question, and you may feel free to pass on it. You mentioned your wife passing,
Yep.
your late wife passing, and I was curious how a person like you, with this very rich spiritual background, with a heck of a lot of tools for moving forward and iterating and all that, how does that all impact how you cope with grief?
Oh, huge. So, March 8th, 2020, first visit to the doctor. Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
2 weeks before COVID shelter in place started, and about a month before there was a fire line a mile from my house. So 2020 was the triple C year: COVID, cancer, and conflagration. We nearly died of COVID, and we did die of cancer, and we damn near burned down. Other than that, it was a great year. So March 8th, first day in the office, we get a terminal diagnosis. Four-way metastasis. She picked a really bad cancer the second time. Big upgrade. Okay, so we sat on it for 8 days. We said, okay, whoa, not what we had in mind. Now what? So for 8 days, we didn't tell anybody. Didn't tell the kids. We just said we have to receive this. We have to figure out how we're going to hold this, because we have a lot of people, and they're all going to take their cue from us. So we had better do this well. And Claudia, bless her heart, came to the one line. She says, okay, here's the deal. This is sad, not tragic. She was 69 at the time. The plan was to go to 85, but so she's exiting the stage quite early, but really no regrets and hardly anything left on the bucket list. She made it to 70, just made it to 70, died in December, 9 months later. And so let's just live into that, which we did. And we lived, and she died very well. We lived in, and so this back to acceptance, radical acceptance. Reality is the only place something can be found. We're all going to die. We're just talking about timing. So now it's a matter of, how do you die well? We've now got an invitation to die well. I will often say the best year of my marriage to Claudia was the year after she died, because I learned so much through this form of love that's called grief, that happens to come with the feature of being immensely painful. But the pain is just an attribute. It's not the point. Pain's not the point. The growth was the point. So you get to decide. You don't get to decide what's going to happen to you. You do get to decide how you receive it. That's what Viktor Frankl said in Man's Search for Meaning, that even suffering well received is ennobling enough to make you a person, because you always have at least one act of freedom, which is to decide how you respond to the situation in which you find yourself. You're always in charge of that. So we just chose to receive it as generatively as we could, and it made a huge difference. A really helpful thing during that year, and it's really helpful to me the year after, came from one of Claudia's diagnostic experiences. She goes in for yet another procedure, and the nurse says, now, when we inject this radio-opaque dye, you might feel a little bit of warmth in your body. And Claudia, who is a long-standing salesperson, very direct, was tired of what she called medical euphemisms. Cute little phrases that really don't begin to tell the truth of what they mean. She goes, oh, a little warmth, like where you take a can of kerosene, pour it down my throat, and light it. Actually, she says, effing light it, And the nurse goes, oh, you've had the procedure before. She goes, yeah, I've had the effing procedure before. I know what you're talking about, so cut it out with the warmth thing, okay? I've had all that crap. And the nurse goes all hard on her. She goes, okay. So here's the deal, honey. It's just pain, okay? Let it rinse through you, and then it will be over. Or you can resist, and it's worse and lasts longer. I don't care. I get paid the same either way. Up to you. Whoa. What a thing to say to a dying woman. One of the most helpful things we ever heard from anybody on the planet Earth. 2 critical words, just and rinse. It's just pain. Let it rinse through you, and it'll be over. Or you can hang on to it if you want. And so this is, I think, when the Buddhists talk about, all pain is illusion, I think this is what they're talking about. Like, there's the primary reality of your life. Okay, this is going to hurt. I am going to die. You have just been fired. There's the fact. And then there's the, oh no, you can't fire me. My existential identity has just been detonated. That's all elective. The real thing is plenty. The real thing that life is throwing at you is plenty. You don't need to add that extra layer of the, oh no, not what I had in mind thing. So for us, we chose to, okay, now that I've accepted Claudia's going to die pretty soon, what does that reality allow an invitation to occur that we can live into? All that stuff about, but what about and not fair and blah, 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 blah. None of that's real. It's just not true. The only place all that bargaining exists is in your head. There's nothing there. So we just dropped it. It's just pain. It's just death. Let it rinse through you. Receive it as openly as you can, as availably as you can. And then if it's a bad thing, it'll be over sooner. And even if it's a bad or a good thing, your chance of getting a lesson or an insight or a gift or a growth from it pretty much only happens if you're a willing receiver. If you're a resisting opposer, you get nothing. You get more pain for longer and you get no growth. It's just a bad call.